What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, I am bringing a spicy Great League team that I think has really good coverage on this meta. Ferrathorn, Mantine, and Tentacruel. Now, the whole premise behind this team is Ferrathorn on the lead can do very well in a lot of kind of neutral situations. It has good coverage, and its weaknesses Mantine can cover. But what's also so good is that Mantine gets walled by a Lantern, but Tentacruel draws them out every single time when you have a Ferrathorn lead. And with Poison Jab and Acid Spray, I can either completely take that mid game and flip it, or I can just soften up the Lantern and then farm down with Ferrathorn. This team was so much fun to use and so spicy, so let me know down in the comments what you guys think about it. Alright, getting into the first battle, we have Ferrathorn on the lead versus Medicham. Bad lead, we're going to go into Tentacruel right away, and what comes in? Well, a Dunsparce. So actually pretty spicy right here. Dunsparce, one of those Pokemon that was never used before, and then it got rollout and then became a part of the meta, which is super cool to see. But in this situation, we got the attack drop from Scald. That is absolutely insane. So we're going to go ahead and let this drill run go through, and it doesn't one-shot us. So this is actually a really good situation. We're going to go ahead and now opt to shield right here because I want to soften up this Dunsparce right here. Now, granted, I'm thinking they think I'm going to go for an Acid Spray, so I'm actually just going to go for a Scald here, but we do get a shield, so Acid Spray would have worked out right there. But this is okay. This is a good situation where I can let this go through. This is a lot of farm here for Ferrathorn, and Ferrathorn can do neutral damage to Medicham. That's the important thing, and Power Whip actually does a decent amount, and I don't want to have a no shields for Mantine in the back. Mantine, if this is the counter to it, then Mantine can do very well. So what we're going to do is just fully farm down. We have two actually 1.5 Power Whips ready to go. Basically, one fast move away. So we're going to go ahead and go for back-to-back Power Whips right here because, as you can see, it does a lot of neutral damage, and it might just force a shield. And if it forces a shield right here, and there is no Lantern in the back, we're looking pretty good. Okay, they decided to no shield both. We swap in Mantine. It's actually a knocked out in the back. So this is a unique situation where Mantine is such a mind game, everyone. Ice Beam does super effective damage, and it lands. And we also have Bubble Beam as a shield bait and lowering the attack of knocked out, which makes us extremely, extremely tanky. So this is going to be a good battle. I can just go straight for Bubble Beam. There is no reason to build up to an Ice Beam right here because they know what's coming, and they're going to go ahead and no shield it, but that attack drop is perfectly fine. We are going to easily survive this Shadow Ball right here. As you guys can see, extremely tanky, and we're going to go ahead and farm down. Now, there is the Medicham to still deal with, so we're going to go ahead and throw another Bubble Beam here to get that final shield and make sure that that Ice Punch of theirs is not going to one-shot me now, because again, it lowers the attack, which makes me extra tanky, and Mantine now can farm down. That is going to be a good game. Very well played. This team, I'm telling you, it was so unique and so much fun that you guys are going to see what happens with Lanterns. All right, Altaria lead. So not the best of matchups. We do have Thunder, but I swap out right away into Tentacruel, and if there is a Lantern in the back, it usually comes in. Now, I'm going for an Acid Spray right away. They're deciding to stay in, so I'm like, okay, I'll debuff you, and let's see what happens. No, they now decide to swap into Lantern, and this is actually a Water Gun Lantern. So what have we successfully done? First of all, we've drawn out Lantern, which is the hardest counter in this meta, basically, to a Mantine, because we do all resisted damage. It's super unfortunate. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and no-shield the Thunderbolt. We've softened up the Lantern, and this is Water Gun as well, which is going to allow us to hard farm down. We are resisting everything on this back end. That's what's so beautiful about the synergy that we have here with our typings, is we resist Thunderbolt and Surf. So we can just farm down, just hard farm. Things are looking good in Ferrathorn land. This is perfectly fine. We have a Thunder. We're maxed out on energy right here. So now let's see what they decide to bring in. If it's going to be the Altaria, we go for Thunder. We're staring at the top right. Hopefully you guys can see. Yeah, you guys can see. All right, it is going to be Altaria. So I clicked Thunder right there. Now, mind you, this should be a CMP tie, but it wasn't, because they got to swap into Trevenant, which makes me extremely frustrated, because that should have been a CMP tie. Now I have to come in with Mantine, but are you worried? I'm not worried. Why? Because Bubble Beam debuff is so insane in a matchup where their damage is just going to get dry. Oh, it's beautiful. And we're doing Wing Attack as our fast move, so it is doing super effective damage. We're going to go ahead and no shield this. It is going to be the Shadow Ball, unfortunately. But now we're going to go ahead and farm down. So we're going to have to shield this one now. Now, unfortunately, I didn't shield the Shadow Ball, and this one's going to be a Seed Bomb. They only have one shield left. So we have to go for a Hail Mary right here. They have to anticipate the bait. It's not a bait. It's me, everyone. Boom! One shots the Altaria. Good game. Sorry about your earbuds there. You guys know what's going on with this channel. All right, we got a Medicham here on the lead. Once again, we are swapping into Tentacruel right away. And once again, in comes a Lantern. It's like clockwork, everyone. There is not a single Lantern when it was on the opponent's team that didn't come into my Tentacruel. It's like begging. Like, get the Lantern onto the field to defeat this Pokemon, which then frees up Mantine. It was a beautiful strategy as we let the Thunderbolt go through right there. And now we're once again going to load up on energy with Ferrathorn because of the synergy of our typings. We resist everything, and we do not care. It doesn't matter how low this Lantern really gets us. Granted, it can't get us too low, because what we need is 100 energy. That's what we need against the Medicham to try to force some shields and give Mantine a potential to sweep. So we're going to go ahead and let all these charge moves go through. We're going to fully farm down. Things are looking good. This is fine. Let it go through. Don't care. Lantern, your moves tickle, man. What is that? 4 charge moves they hit against me? We're fine. We're going to go ahead and go for this. We're going to stare at the top right. It is going to be the Medicham, so we're going to go ahead and go for the Power Whip. If we get a shield, we swap out right away. Let's see. No shield. We're going to swap out right away anyways because I'm so low on energy. And in comes a knockdown. What do? Bubble Beam, because this is just so broken. It's so much fun to use, but the only way Mantine works in this meta is if you get rid of Lantern. And the only way to get rid of Lantern is with something like Tentacruel on Safe Swap with something that counters it on the lead. It was such a fun strategy to use. So we're just going to keep going for Bubble Beams now that we've built up to a potential Ice Beam. We get a shield there, which is perfectly fine, and now we're in a good situation right here where we can safely no-shield this next Sky Attack. It doesn't do that much damage. Overload on energy. Switch Clock is coming back up. Remember, Ferrathorn is very close to another charge move, so we're going to go ahead and go for the Ice Beam here. They let it go. Boom! Thinking it was going to be another Bubble Beam. No, it was not. Mantine goes to town when Lanterns are out of the game, everyone. So we're just going to keep Bubble Beaming this Medicham right here, this poor thing. We're going to go ahead and shield again. Look to go for another Bubble Beam, and it was just an Ice Punch, which is fine. We're going to go ahead and go for another one, and I believe this was a CMP tie, because what I try to do here is swap into Ferrathorn to throw the Power Whip, but it was a CMP tie, which is fine. I don't even think they're going to be able to KO me right here with this Ice Punch, and I swap anyways and just go for the Power Whip to close this game out. So that is going to be a good battle, very well played. Oh, man. It was so much fun to use this team. And it was amazing that every single Lantern swapped in. All right, Obstagoon on the lead. Another bad one. We go into Tentacruel right away, get ahead on energy. Now, they're deciding to stay in, and they're building up a lot of energy right now. And I'm like, this guy might be running Hyper Beam. When someone builds up this much energy, as a boomer myself, I know they must have Hyper Beam. Now, they swap in a Frostlass right here, which is alright. We're going to be able to go for a Scald that does a lot of neutral damage, kind of softens up the Frostlass for our Ferrathorn as they do decide to let it go. Now, the question is, do I shield? Like, do I try to go for full switch? So I'm going to go ahead and shield right here. I'm curious, it was a Shadow Ball, which is good. I'm curious if I can get to this Acid Spray in time. And if this gets a shield, I think I'm going to be happy to let Tentacruel then go down. We do get a shield. Okay, But instead, I swap back into Ferrathorn to try to farm down now, because we can keep the Tentacruel alive in case we need that extra poison damage, because they took a long time to swap out, right? We're still in even shields, and in comes a Trevenant. So this is actually going to be a very, very tough situation for us, because Trevenant is going to be able to fully farm us down with Shadow Claw right here. It's going to try. We're going to be able to get to another. Nope, they decide to actually throw the charge move. This is actually fine by me. Granted, we would have been able to get to another Power Whip, maybe two, and they went for Shadow Ball. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Mantine right here and go for and just load up on energy. I'm more fearful. Go ahead and shield right here. I'm more fearful of the potential Hyper Beam, so I got to watch, and I see the top right, them swap out. I was staring at the typings up there. So I bring in the Tentacruel right away, and sure enough, it was a Hyper Beam. Boom! I could sense it. I could just sense it from their side. So I'm going to go ahead and go for a Bubble Beam here to force that final shield from our opponent. If they decide not to, they decide to let it go, Obstagoon goes down, I Bubble Beam the Trevenant right away, and this is going to be a good game, very well played, as we can now farm down, and yeah, good game. So much fun. All right, we got some more bouts. Moving into the next one. We have Ferrathorn on the lead versus Alolan Ninetales. So we'll have to see if it's Charm or Powder Snow. It is going to be the Powder Snow variant, so I really can't stay in here too long. I will need to swap out at some point. Plus, there may be a Mudboy in the back. If you think about Alolan Ninetales' weaknesses, a Water Ground in the back, maybe something like Swampert or Whiscash makes a lot of sense. So we're going to go ahead and just let the double Weather Balls go through. We're going to go for our double Power Whip right here. If I get a shield, I might opt to swap out right away. And let's see if we do. Yep, we do get a shield. Okay, I'm swapping out right away into Tentacruel and just loading up on energy. And they're not swapping out. I'm like, what is in the back? Oh, it's another Lantern. Would you look at that? Coming right out as quickly. Well, not as quickly as it should have. But I think what they wanted to do with Alolan Ninetales was build up back to another Weather Ball, then bail out. So we're going to go ahead and shield right here. We're in a 2-to-1 shield advantage with Acid Sprays and Poison Jabs. Now, granted, they got me there with the Surf, which is fine, but Tentacruel does not care. Everyone, it does not care. Acid Spray and Pray, we're just going to go ahead and Poison Jab down. Now, the question is, I'm going to go ahead and shield this. We're going to commit to that hard farm down. They took a while to swap out, so it makes me want to believe that they might not have a good answer for Tentacruel, and Lantern was their best one. So let's see. It is going to be a Mudboy. So my thought process at the beginning was correct, right? With a Alolan Ninetales lead, a Mudboy in the back makes sense. We land the charge move. We're going to go ahead and swap out and draw back out the Alolan Ninetales. I was trying to go for the Power Whip to force a shield here from the opponent, but we get one from the Alolan Ninetales anyways. They're going to go ahead and go for their Weather Ball, but what you guys can all see coming is what I have said from the very beginning of this video. Lantern is out of the game. Mantine sweeps when that happens. So we're going to go ahead and just let this go. Well, we have no shields. We got to bring in the Tentacruel to force their energy, and now Mantine is going to take this one because Swampert would have to land. I could just go for a Bubble Beam right here and just secure the game. Swampert would have to land 2 Sludge Waves without a Bubble Beam debuff in order to take me out because it does nothing to me, but I can just safely go for an Ice Beam to close this game out. So that is going to be a good game, very well played. But this strategy worked to a T. Getting every single Lantern, if there was in the game, it got it onto the field. All right, Pelipper on the lead. This is actually very good for us because of the damage that we can do with Thunder. And I want to get myself shield advantage early, so we're going to throw the Thunder right away. Now, Pelippers, you got to be shielding this. Boom! One shot's the Pelipper, just out of here. All right, Medicham comes in. We're going to come in with Tentacruel now. We don't know what the final Pokemon is, but keeping Ferrathorn alive is going to be our best bet. I'm going to go ahead and shield this charge move as it is potentially the Psychic, and it was the Psychic. We're going to go ahead and go for the Acid Spray now, trying to get a shield back if we can. Let's see if they go for it. They do. Beautiful. Even on shields, in comes a Sableye. So we still have a very, very good matchup with Mantine versus Medicham in the back. We still have our Ferrathorn. It's even shields. We land the Scald as well because when you put the fear of Acid Spray into an opponent with how close the energy required is between Scald and Acid Spray, it puts fear into them. So now we can easily come in with Ferrathorn, load up on energy, let the Sableye dump its energy, and I think I actually decide to swap into Mantine after this foul play. No, okay, I just decided to farm down. That's fine either way, because now I can go for a Power Whip here versus the Medicham, and then we're going to come in right away with Mantine, apply that Bubble Beam debuff in order to lower the attack and just wing attack down, but they decide to surrender, so that's going to be a good game. Very well played. Oh my goodness, guys. This team, so much fun and so spicy. That's what I loved about it, how spicy it was. All right, another Altaria. We're going to go ahead and actually, I play these Altaria matchups somewhat differently because I wanted to see what's the most optimal way to win against it. And what I found, and why I put it at the beginning of the video, was swapping out right away. I found to be most optimal. Now we got a shield there with Thunder, which tells me they're definitely weak in the back. So we're going to go ahead and let the Sky Attack go through and now come in with Tentacruel. And in comes a Galarian Stunfisk. So this is still a good situation, everyone. Scald is actually a good charge move, especially on Tentacruel. Look at how much damage this thing does. Woo, baby, that's like 60% of its health. And now we're in a very good situation where we can safely double shield, and it was an Earthquake as well. That is beautiful. Now, what did we do? We put the fear of Scald into the soul of this Galarian Stunfisk. So now what do? We go for the Acid Spray, and we get the shield. The mind games with Tentacruel is so much fun. We're double shielding right here. I think this is going to be another Earthquake. They've shown that they don't care about shield baiting. They're just going to try to go for it. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the Scald right away. I could have maybe gotten away with one more Poison Jab just to be safe. But in comes an Azumarill. You love to see it. Tentacruel is just going to destroy this thing. We're going to go ahead and go for Acid Spray. And remember, every move from Azumarill, fast and charge, is resisted by Tentacruel. This Azumarill is getting absolutely annihilated. It's going to try its best to go for a charge move, but this poor bunny it goes for the Hydro Pump. It does take us out though, so that's actually enough damage. We come in with Mantine because I knew they would swap out right away into Altaria because they knew the Ferrathorn was going to come in, and now we can safely go for the Ice Beam, and that is going to be a boom! One shot, and then we swap into Ferrathorn now against the Azumarill. And that's going to be a good game. Very well played. Oh, this team was so much fun to use. Yeah, but in hindsight, what I found to be better is swapping right away, right against the Altaria leads. All right, we got Ferrathorn versus Swampert now on the lead. This is a very, very positive matchup for us. They do swap out into Frostlass, so we actually don't have a direct answer. I'm going to go ahead and go for the Power Whip right here. If we land it, we'll come in with Mantine, and we do. So we're going to go ahead and come in with the Mantine because we can safely go for the Bubble Beam. Granted, it was a CMP time, but we can safely shield right here and then go for the Bubble Beam because you always, especially when you're doing a Bubble Beam Pokemon in this situation, you want to shield the hardest hitting charge move, which is going to be that first one, because after that, the Bubble Beam is not going to do as much damage. We farm down, but no, they do get to another charge move. We can let this go now. We can survive a Shadow Ball or an Avalanche. It is going to be Shadow Ball. That's fine. Now, if Swampert comes back in, we can apply a debuff with Bubble Beam, but what's more fun? Going for the Ice Beam right away. They're anticipating a Bubble Beam debuff, so they're likely not going to shield, and we land some free damage right there. You love to see it, and now they're going to go ahead and go for the Hydro Cannon, so I think we actually survive this as well. No, they go for the Sludge Wave. That's pretty big on them. We're going to come in with Ferrathorn. In comes Noctowl, so we're going to bring in our Tentacruel right away, and this is once again a mind game for them. Poison Jab does neutral damage. They got to be fearing the Acid Spray. We're going to go ahead and shield the Shadow Ball. We're going to go for the Acid Spray on the first one. I want to apply this debuff, and we get a shield. All right, beautiful. So now we've put into their heads, I got Acid Spray. So they're likely not going to shield this next charge move, right? Maybe? I don't know. No, they do shield that one, which is fine. We still have our Ferrathorn for the Swampert, and Tentacruel right here is an absolute monster. It doesn't care about Noctowls. Now we got to be careful about their swap out, which they do, so I bank the charge move there on my Tentacruel and come in with the Ferrathorn right away, and now we have Thunder ready to go for Noctowl, and if they win CMP tie right here. I don't even think, I think a Shadow Ball would actually KO us. But we do have the Thunder ready to go. So this is going to be taking out the Noctowl. Boom! Down goes Noctowl. Good game. Very well played. This team was so much fun. All right, Ferrathorn versus Nidoqueen. All right, I haven't seen Nidoqueen all season long, but whenever you see a Nidoqueen lead, history tells me it's double dark in the back. So I'm going to play to that prediction and predict that there is a Scrafty in the back, which means I have to save Mantine to really kind of win this game. That's my whole goal. Is my headset, my brain is telling me save Mantine. So now I have to come in with Tentacruel into Sableye. This is not the best of matchups. Granted, we're still doing a lot of damage with Poison Jab, even though it is resisted. But we're gonna let the it was a return. I was hoping it was just gonna be a foul play. But we're gonna go ahead and go for a Scald. Now, do we need to win Switch in order to win this game? I don't think so. We have Mantine. If it is a Sableye, Scrafty in the back, we have Mantine, and it has Bubble Beam for Nidoqueen. So we're going to go ahead and bring in the Ferrathorn and just try to farm down. Let's see if we'll be able to. I don't think we will. Yeah, it's going to be close. So I decided to go for the Power Whip instead because Shadow Claw wouldn't have taken us out. Now, they're likely going to let this go, and I'm swapping out into Mantine right away, reading a Scrafty. It is a Scrafty. Beautiful! So this paid off. History's a good teacher. Excuse me. So we're going to go ahead and shield this first charge move. It is actually going to be a power-up punch, which is really unfortunate for us. Now, I'm anticipating them waiting. They're going to swap into Nidoqueen after getting the Bubble Beam debuff. So we do get a shield there, and in comes the Nidoqueen. So that is why I overloaded on energy with Mantine right there to get to back-to-back Bubble Beams, because boom, down goes the Nidoqueen. And now we're in a tough situation where if they land a foul play here, I'm going to shield. If they land a foul play, they might be able to win, but I'm safe to just go for Bubble Beams, because in order to take me out, they'd have to do a power-up punch and land a foul play, and by then I've already debuffed them again. So this is going to be a good game. A foul play right here will not take us out, and thankfully I stuck to my guns and paid attention, or stayed with the plan of there's going to be, if it's double dark, there's going to be a Scrafty in the back. Let's keep Mantine alive to sweep. And that is a good game, very well played. This team did so well for me today. It was so much fun to use. Ferrathorn, Mantine, and Tentacruel. And like you guys saw, every game that there was a Lantern, it came straight into Tentacruel every single time, and it gave Mantine the opportunity to sweep in the end game. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.